I can't be canceled, there's no way that you can stop me. I'm fully independent, there's no label who can drop me. Y'all been starting rumors, let me help you with some. Yeah, y'all can't cancel me. My life is scandal free. There ain't no sponsors taking losses cause the brand is me. My hands are clean, my family and my fans agree. Y'all can't cancel me for facts because you're mad and weak. How's a man say I'm clickbait if he gonna use this face to get clicks on his page? Y'all hypocrites are made. But I ain't tripping about these bullies, it ain't 6th grade. Go ahead and diss me trying to sell a couple mixtapes. I am not playing it safe, I said what I said, it is what it is.
I don't care if you mad at me, okay? Go ahead and change the channel. Don't waste your time trying to cancel me. They love me cause they know that I'm it. Say what you want, I guess it is what it is. Haters can talk, they can cancel the kid. Go ahead and go off, try and say this is it.
Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Tell someone you're a financial.
All right. Hey there, everyone. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you at it's almost 10 till 10. So thanks for joining me tonight on your Saturday. You're here, and I'm here because we've got some storms to talk about, and it's going to affect the rest of your weekend plans as we head into next week. So the weather pattern is finally getting active again. So we're going to talk about what you can expect storm-wise to see. Yes, this is our peak of severe weather season. And will we be seeing those pesky tornadoes that sometimes rear their ugly head this time of the year? Of course, I hope the answer is no, but we shall see. So thanks for tuning in. And just hang back, get your glass of wine, ladies, and just sit back and hang out with me for a little bit. Reese is in the house, sent me a few stars tonight. Thank you. So did Leslie. Always good to see him. On a 4-week streak, my goodness. You're not messing around. But if you'd like to send me some stars, you can do that here at the bottom of the screen where there's a little star icon next to where you can leave a comment. So I always appreciate that. All right, let's get on with it, shall we? I know why you're here, and it's for the good news or bad news. Let's find out. All right, so first off, let me start with the National Weather Service. All right, so they got a graphic here for tonight for some potential thunderstorms. We're going to ignore this because we're actually going to watch for storms to develop in this vicinity late tonight to tomorrow morning. So we're going to take a look at that here in a second. Now, Sunday late afternoon, we'll be seeing some storms probably coming in off of the Texas Panhandle, moving into western Oklahoma in the late evening hours. Typical standard thunderstorm winds, golf ball size hail, winds around 60 plus miles per hour. Just a very low risk for a tornado. And then Monday, same kind of idea here out mainly in western Oklahoma. However, we're going to show you some new data that's just come in that highlights this area down here for potential tornadic activity. And that's on Monday afternoon and the evening hours. Then those storms will kind of bubble up north and they'll kind of move into a east and northeast fashion. Now, I don't think they'll be producing a tornado probably by the time they get into central Oklahoma, but they will be out here in southwest, and we'll talk about that. It's still early in the game. We're just now in that 48-hour window, so we don't get too specific on those kind of details, but we're going to get you acclimated to what's going to happen. Now, flash flood risk is out there with some of the heavy rainfall potential. There is a slight on the flash flood risk area, and we'll tell you why about that. We'll show you some of the model data output as to how much rain is expected. Now, if you take a look kind of in the big picture from the Storm Prediction Center, a lot of times the National Weather Service will just highlight the local regions for a short period, but they'll take it all the way up through the next several days. And they do focus on some severe weather potential out here across the west areas of western Texas and Colorado and Kansas. They'll kind of shrink the area a little bit on Sunday and even more so on Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're saying, what? Probability too low. What does that mean? Does it mean we won't see any severe weather at all? Not exactly. They're going to eventually update some of these days as conditions become a little more clear in the model data. They just they take their time. They focus on the first 3 days, and the other is just kind of an afterthought as far as getting down to real specifics, because too many things can change for trying to get really specific. But if they ever see a really strong signal, yeah, they're going to paint some colors on the map. Right now the signals are pretty weak, but they're out there. We'll talk about those as well. All right. Now, when we talk about the breakdown of the severe weather, let's see here on the probability. Let's see. I'll tell you what. Let's do for late Sunday. Now, they do have a little bit of a light probability for a tornado, and that's out here in northwest Texas, southern Texas Panhandle, maybe southwest Oklahoma. We're going to look at the wind shear profile in that for tomorrow. It's a less than 2%. In other words, that is the lowest it can go. So that's why it's not a huge forecast issue at this point in time. Will that stay, though? Here's a look at the overall. This is what we call the analog threat guidance. This is just guidance, means it doesn't always work out, but it kind of compares past historical weather patterns to see what came out of those to try to predict future output. So, is the way I look at it. Sometimes it's all right, sometimes it isn't. Right now we're looking at the percentage of at least one severe weather report out there over the state. And this is going to be in the period for, let's see, the 15th through the 16th through the 17th. So this is going to be on the 17th. This will be on Monday. All right, so you can see it really favors kind of a southwestern Oklahoma flair to it as far as the number of severe weather reports. In other words, it thinks it's going to be some pretty good storms. That's just one report. This is 5 or more reports. So it does favor that area in a higher percentage in the 70 to 80 to 90 percentile. So it does think historically we're going to be favored for some good rain storms there, and also some good heavy rainfall. There's about 2 inches on the flash flood guidance. If you look at the next day, same kind of idea, same kind of location for severe weather reports, maybe not as many, but down here in northwestern Texas, and also good indication of a lot of rainfall, 3 to 4 inches along the Red River. So that's why we're going to get into some flash flood issues with any of these storms that move pretty slow. If you look and extended, here's some more severe weather reports, at least kind of peppered about, but you can see them diminishing with each passing day. In other words, they don't get nearly as intense or strong. So if we break this down to tornadoes only, for example, so that would be day 1, which would be for the next 24 hours. If we look at day 2, which takes us through the 17th, this kind of favors a panhandle area, and then day 3 favors, this is going to be throughout Monday afternoon and evening, it favors that southwestern section we talked about. And day 4 also kind of favors that same area. And this is for potential for tornadoes. And the percentage of this is up around 15 to 20%, maybe at most. It looks like maybe around 15. So that's not very high probability. But that's where it's focusing those type of ingredients that it's potentially on the table. I mean, it'll happen, just means that's kind of where it's at. And then as we head to day 5, it starts to shrink in and shift around. There's day 6, there's day 7. So there's a teeny tiny signal most of the days of the week of, hey, but you know what? It's also climatologically speaking where we should be seeing tornadoes. So it's not out of the question. So let's get on with the details then. Here's a look at things that progress. Let's look at the radar forecast. And I think I'm going to do 2 things. We'll do a quick overview, and then I'm going to zoom in Oklahoma. So it shows you all the storms out there in the eastern line of New Mexico and far western Texas. You can see how those kind of move through this evening into tomorrow morning. Look how things blow up there down south around Dallas-Fort Worth. This is around 7 o'clock in the morning. You see how they're crossing over the Red River into central Oklahoma during the morning hours, and then those kind of move off into southeastern Oklahoma and northeast Oklahoma during the afternoon and evening hours. We got new storms that develop on Sunday out in western Oklahoma into the evening hours, so we're talking late evening, and then that kind of moves through overnight, Sunday night into Monday morning, and that clears on out. And then we got those new storms I talked about, potentially tornadic in southwest Oklahoma there for Monday late day, and then those would move eastward, and then we got more storms down south in Texas. So you can see it's going to be a little stormy, and it comes in waves. It's just waves of different storms, so the timing is always going to be crucial, because you don't have to cancel all your plans if you can time them out just right. And if we can get most of these storms in the overnight hours, then, hey, that's not bad for us. So let's take a look of Oklahoma. That way you can see this in a little bit more detail. All right, so we'll step this through for you. We'll start you off. Let's see. So a few showers tonight, by the way. Maybe rumble of thunder up there in northern Oklahoma, Ponca City, and guys up there in southern Kansas, but not a big deal. Not expected to be severe. 6 a.m. There's that cluster of storms down there near Lawton. That continues to build and moves north and east into the Oklahoma City area as we head into the late morning hours. So if you do have plans on Sunday, the first part of the day is going to be a little wet for you, and even probably in the early afternoon. There's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock gets moved out. So unfortunately, if you have plans here to do anything outdoors in central Oklahoma on Sunday, you better get up really early, like crack of dawn. You got maybe a couple hours most, and then after that, it rains throughout the day. And then in the latter part of the day, we're talking after 5 o'clock, things look pretty good here in Oklahoma City. There'll still be some showers out at east and northeast of us, up toward Tulsa, those little piddly showers, shouldn't be too much. And then they do start to re-intensify in the evening hours. There's 10 o'clock, so another little batch of some storms up there in northeastern Oklahoma. Around 11 o'clock, this is tomorrow night, so tomorrow kind of a wet day statewide. Some good heavy rainfall up here, by the way. And I'm going to show you the rainfall totals in a second. And then you've got a couple storms that fire up here along I-40 corridor. Sunday night after midnight. This is in the early Monday morning now, so before you even get up to go to work, it should be storming. You'll hear some lightning. At most, in these cases, you could get some pea-sized hail, but nothing really should be on the severe side. And as we head into Monday morning, heavy rainfall here in Oklahoma City kind of forms like a little bit of a squall line, what we really call a mesoscale convective complex, it looks like. And that'll move through during the morning hours into southeast Oklahoma. It's a lot of heavy rainfall with that. That usually clears us out. We end up getting a great day as a result of that. We have some subsidence temporarily. It's like a mini high-pressure dome that sits overhead, and so usually skies clear out, and you get a nice, cool, relatively cool day, comparatively speaking, until, if it clears out soon enough, then you can heat things up by the last minute to get things bubbling up for the evening. So by 5 o'clock, that's what models do suggest. You can see some thunderstorms out here with some helicity tracks in the panhandles. That means some big hail, maybe a couple of tornadoes. And then down here in southwest Oklahoma, here's 7 o'clock. So it does break out some storms down here in southwestern Oklahoma. Now, what does the forecast sounding look like at this point in time? This is crucial. It's not classic as far as what the models would like to see for a supercell type environment with tornadoes, but it is enough. In other words, the shear is decent enough. It's got plenty of turning. It's got plenty of speed shear. So again, this is from Monday late in the evening hours, southwest Oklahoma. It does favor a tornado profile of a significant tornado, which means basically an EF2, with hail sizes up to around 2 to 3 inches in diameter. So some big storms should go up there in southwest Oklahoma. And then you see how those expand northward, and they kind of bubble up here west of Oklahoma City. There's through 9 o'clock, by the way. And then 10 o'clock, it just starts storming all over the place. And then they'll congeal into a line. So this looks like a signature of a line echo wave pattern with a little surface low up here on the northern end. So sometimes you can get some damaging winds that'll rotate in around this guy. So we might have to deal with some brief damaging winds here in Oklahoma City late Monday night as we approach midnight. The tornado threat at this point in time would be relegated to just what we call the QLCS tornadoes, which would be the little linear vorticity spin-ups along the leading edge. So that might be in play. But the supercell structure is gone, or whatever would have been left of it. So it would be more of just a squall line type event. That moves through 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You can see some other storms down there in southwest Oklahoma. So Monday night is going to be stormy and loud. There's going to be pockets of hail, lightning, some wind, maybe a couple of tornadoes, that kind of deal. And then there's Tuesday morning, and everything's kind of down to southern Oklahoma along the Red River. So that takes you through Sunday and Monday as far as your timeline goes and where the cluster of storms are going to be, which is pretty much all over the place. Let me show you an idea of how much rain is potentially on the table, because some of these storms will be quite slow moving and they'll train over the same area. So we'll just go through the Tuesday morning time frame. So this will take everything into account that happens late tonight through tomorrow and then again on Monday. Look at these amounts, 6 inches of rain down here around Lawton, just south and southwest of town toward Wichita Falls, and even out toward Duncan looks like. And then you've got a nice batch of some heavy rain up around 6 inches here just north and east of Tulsa. Then everywhere in between, 1 to 2 to 3 inches. You do have a weak spot up here in northwest Oklahoma. Sorry, guys, you're not getting enough of the rain yet in the signals of the data, but maybe that'll change. And then eastern Oklahoma still not bad, but you guys have seen plenty as it is. So we need this for the drought, which is good. But when you can get this kind of rainfall in a short period of time, you can get some brief flash flooding. So just be on the lookout for that. There's an old saying, you don't want to cross a flooded roadway. So we just say turn around, don't drown, because you don't know how deep the water is, or if it's going to be strong enough to carry your car off stream, or if the road's even washed out. So there's a lot of things you don't know when there's just water covering the roadway at a quick pace. So just make sure you keep that in the back of your head. All right, so that is what's going on with the rainfall amounts. What's going on with the severe weather amounts. That's what's going on with the potential tornadoes. If we look at the Texas Tech model, which I also like to use during the severe weather season, same kind of idea. It's got that nice cluster of storms in North Texas and southern Oklahoma late tonight and tomorrow morning, and then moves into eastern Oklahoma during the day. Most of its helicity tracks for Sunday is down here in North Texas. That means large hail, maybe a brief tornado and a couple of these stronger type cells that continue out here along I-20 toward Abilene and parts of western Texas. And there's those new cluster of storms up there in the eastern Texas Panhandle. And it's a lot easier to get a tornado in the Texas Panhandle, believe it or not, than it is in Oklahoma, even given the same similar atmosphere as what we have, because it shares little different requirements out there. So don't be surprised you do see some tornado warnings out there in the Texas Panhandle tomorrow, because that's just typical. All right, so we head into... There's that storms on Monday morning that clears out the state, and then then Monday evening, it doesn't produce the storms down here in southwest Oklahoma. It tries, but then they fall apart. Now, what that tells me is it thinks that the atmosphere is a little too stable, and it's not going to recover in time for that. But it's going to keep them going down here and across the Red River. So that's what that signal tells me. We're going to look at a couple of different CAM models to see if they agree with this one or not. And we'll get here in just a second. Let me give you a quick look at temperatures, by the way, for the next several days. If you like mid-70s, because of the rain and the cloud cover and the timing, these are going to be suspect. In other words, any given day, if you can get out enough sun, enough clearing, you might briefly hit 80. Otherwise, we're still looking mainly at mid-70s to upper 70s for the next several days. Overnight lows finally getting into the 60s. So some of you folks may love the 60s. It's not as cold. It's still nice in the evenings. But the Bermuda grass is going to love it. And so the Bermuda is going to be very happy. And I'm going to be happy. And you're going to be happy because my yard looks ridiculous. But anyway, so that's good for the grass growing season. All right, we're going to look at a couple of severe models, and then I'm going to show you the long term to see, all right, well, Aaron, when are we going to get tornadoes around here, right? Is that what your question is? It's usually the question I get. All right, let's go to some of these high-resolution CAM models, which are convective allowing models, that we call them. They're made with specific physical equations that govern more of a severe type thunderstorm development, like supercells, etc. All right, so let me see what it does here. Same thing for tomorrow morning in the central and eastern Oklahoma. There's got a little something out there, western Oklahoma on Sunday that comes out of the Panhandle. So far, western Oklahoma, it's got some action there. Okay. All right, and then kind of quiet. Doesn't have that big overnight rain for Sunday night and Monday for the rest of the state. Completely different look. So it's got Monday basically just clear as a bell. That's interesting because that's completely different than the other models that we saw. We may be in a period where we're going to have to deal with something like that. Let me look at the service pattern as a result of that mess. Let's see. Winds are very light. Dew point values in the mid-60s. A little dry out here in northwest Oklahoma. Surface lows way out here in Tucumcari, somewhere in New Mexico. And then best surface winds for tornadoes are down here in Texas. All right. So this model pretty much says don't worry about anything. All right, I can go with that, but let's go look at a couple of the other ones. I still like the ones that look that better, so we'll see here. This looks the same originally, same out west, Oklahoma, and then same idea. All right, okay, guys, do what you got to do. Now, we're going to go to the new version of where these high resolution convective models are going. Completely different physics, and it's supposed to be the best pick of the litter. All right, so it's been in beta testing stages for last year. This year, I believe it's supposed to flip over to be officially operational. But anyway, let's see here. So the same idea, morning storms here. So a little rough tomorrow morning. That moves on out to the east. There's that little cluster out there in western Oklahoma and southwest Oklahoma during the late afternoon, early evening hours out there. So maybe a little bit of hail and wind for you guys. I don't think we'll see any tornadoes there. This one does have a couple of helicity tracks way in the far southwestern corner. And remember, the Storm Prediction Center did put a 2% potential tornado ring down there. So that does kind of cover that low risk probability. Those storms move into central Oklahoma, though, around midnight. So this jives with the other models that I looked at that I showed you, which I do like as the output. All right, then that kind of clusters on into the morning. Then that dies out. What does it do in the afternoon? All right, so this is where it blows stuff up in southwest Oklahoma. So I like this idea as far as storms redeveloping out southwest. Some helicity tracks in there in the early evening hours. This is from around really 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then it congeals in kind of a line over central Oklahoma and rains itself out, dies out. Whether or not it'll die out on top of us, we'll see. But a lot of times also, if you can get, this usually happens when we get into the summertime, but if you can get these storms that'll form a wake low as they die out on top of you, a lot of times you can get damaging wind bursts that come down and it heats the atmosphere underneath it. In other words, your temperature can rise 10, 15, 20 degrees, and then you'll get a wind gust up around 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour. Kind of crazy little phenomenon. But anyway, so that can sometimes happen, usually during our summertime, but we'll see if this little signal is indicating something similar to that, just out of its weakening so quickly. Let me see. I don't believe it does do soundings down here. Good. Wasn't for sure if it did. We'll pick one down here in southwest Oklahoma. Okay, ahead of that big storm. So this is again for Monday in the evening hours. So it's got nice turning with height. The wind speeds are a little weak, but it does have good directional shear. Potential hazard type as a tornado, and does have more of a classic supercell look on the sounding. So decent cape and all that kind of stuff. So decent look for hail and wind and potential tornado down there or two in southwest Oklahoma on Monday. So that'd probably be my biggest pick as far as tornado potential in Oklahoma, would be on late Monday in southwest Oklahoma, just in case you're keeping score. Whether or not, again, they make it in the central part of the state before diminishing, usually they don't. So we'll just err on historical speaking and say, yeah, they'll weaken out here before they get into, say, the metro area for any tornado potential. We'll just go with that for now. If that changes, I'll always let you know, but it's usually how things work out. All right, long term, where are we going with this, guys? Are we getting any more outbreaks or anything like that? Well, we got to go to the Cape and Shear overlay, which I've shown you before when we're looking for severe weather days. So this is going to be on, let me go to Monday. So this is Monday. So that's down here in southwest Oklahoma. So you can see all the purple and red. That's a lot of instability. You can see these little arrows go in different directions. A lot of good directional shear. So that's why this area I favor for severe weather on Monday afternoon and evening for that little sweet spot for tornadoes. All right, as we head into Tuesday, let's see, there's Tuesday afternoon and evening. So we do get some storms that develop, but they don't have nearly as much overall shear instability to work with, but they should be enough to, on Tuesday, for any late afternoon storms to give us a little fit, maybe get some hail out of it. I'll just pick a random plot here in central Oklahoma. It does have hail size up close to 3 inches in diameter. It does have some decent shear in the lowest levels for producing a tornado, the classic supercell. Now the upper level winds do get a little chaotic up here, which usually helps to fight the storm a little bit, but it really research shows that the lower levels is where it's at when it comes to tornado genesis. So even though the sounding isn't perfect, it does indicate could be some slow movers, and at least there's a good news and bad news for that. So good news is if it does produce a tornado, for example, in a strong wind, it doesn't move very fast, so it doesn't cover a lot of area. But it kind of sits and spins over one smaller region a lot longer, which usually does a little bit extra damage. But, you know, it's just one of those things you just got to deal with. Okay, so let's go into, there's Wednesday, a little bit of a hint of some leftover instability and shear. So we'll have to see if any storms fire out of that to tap into. And then after that, looks like a little break for Thursday, a break for Friday. And what about on Saturday? Well, So right now, mediocre instability. And then looks like, you still have to have a surface trigger out of all this. This is just looking at potential days of severe weather because you got to have at least the Cape of instability. So by next weekend, Saturday, looks like there's a little bit here. So I just plot a sounding just to see what it looks like. It's going to look like this, which is some weak wind speeds in the mid levels of the atmospheres. This is so sad if you want severe weather to go crazy, tornadoes, big hail, because typically these weaker winds aloft will prevent that. So we'll see if that holds out. All right, let's go on further with time. We'll wait for a day just to jump out that says, hey, that could be a day we get a lot of severe weather. Where's the signals at? Well, here we're finally getting close. This is May 26th. All right, we're heading into the old Memorial Day weekend. Of course we are. Finally getting the shear and the Cape starting to look a little better out here in northwest Oklahoma. So plotting a sounding like that. There's a little, the lower level is a little veered, which means more of a southwest wind. But the rest of the winds, the rest of instability is there. So that'll be something to watch for. It's way out there though. All right, now we got into the deeper reds starting to show back up here. This is on the 27th. Even got some white. Now white is Cape values up around 5,000 joules per kilogram. Now that's off the chart strong. They can get as high as, I don't know what the theoretical limit is, or even practical limit. It's close to 7,500 to maybe 8,000 joules per kilogram. I don't think I've ever seen anything higher than that. At least if I have, my memory cell lost it. But that's pushing the envelope. You don't need that much instability to get big storms. But the higher the number, the bigger the storms typically. In the shear, if you've seen these little maps, and sometimes it blows up on your TV if you're watching, or just or on your tablet or something, you can look a little bit better. But these little winds come in different directions, so you usually get something like this when you're looking at the picture, right? Well, these here are all color coded, so I'm looking at this little guy here. So I got a wind here, a wind here, and a wind here. Those are all indicating that the winds are turning with height. They're at the south, then they go southwest, then they go west. That's how you interpret that shear plot. So if you see what was basically amounts to, we're doing a little math tonight, what amounts to this. Anybody know what this is? Draw your little angle. All right. Get your little protractor out. What do you see? You get 90 degrees. All right, so that's your little 90-degree angle of shear. So if you get shear up around 9 degrees from the surface to the mid-levels, that's what we call tornado ingredient number 1. The Cape value, tornado ingredient number 2. So that would be on the 27th of the month. Again, these could change, by the way, but we're just looking for something to signify that we're actually at anything in May at all, or potentially. There's the 28th, still a little bit of a signal there, not as strong as the 27th, but it's there. And on the 29th, it signals back even stronger again. Same area, it favors northeast Oklahoma and central Oklahoma. And then, looks like another little last hurrah for the last day of the month as we head to the 30th. And the 31st actually starts to shift eastward. So a little change there, and looks like a front comes through. Now, let me see here. If I pick, we said the 30th, for example. All right, so let's see here. Now, when I tell you have to have a trigger, it's great to have the Cape and instability. But let's say if the atmosphere is capped, which means there's an inversion in place, and you don't have a trigger, it means nothing. All right, so just because you see Cape and instability does not guarantee anything. It can mean absolutely jack. So what we're going to do is look at the surface pattern. So we're just doing a little Meteorology 101 here. This is just hanging out. You guys have had the gist of the short-term range of the forecast. We're going long-term and what to look for if you wanted to panic and pull your hair out and just scream to the sky that tornado season isn't over and we're all doomed. I'm trying to find something to fit that bill, and you know me, I don't do that. So we're just looking at data to see what's potentially in the offing here. All right, so remember, we had all that instability out here in eastern and central Oklahoma. I mean, just a ton of it, right? Well, that's great, but it's over an area that has no surface trigger. Where's the surface trigger? Well, let's go take a look here. This is the dry line action. And this up here is the warm front action, which is off the page. and this is the surface low. So typically then what this means is that you get storms that fire, if things go well, out in this area, and then they drift east and northeast. But what you see is there's nothing to form, no boundaries to get any storms to fire in this juicy atmosphere. So it's great that it's unstable, but hey, you got to have something else on the table to work with. Now, if I just plot a sounding, just because I'm curious about how this looks, what we do see is this little nudge right here in the temperature profile, which is a cap. In other words, we have all that instability, but it's wasted because we have a cap in place. The shear's decent all the way up, like we talked about, and the cape's good, 3,000 joules, but we have a cap in place that prevents anything, and we don't have a surface trigger. So that means we may not see a single storm at all, given this environment, Memorial Day weekend. But that's just kind of, you have to have at least, some of the ingredients to even look for storms in that environment. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to go back, because another day was, I believe, the 29th. So let's see what happens there. Now the 29th is a little different. All right, so we start on the 30th. I'm working backwards. Why, I don't know. I just did that. But so we have more of a surface low now in the eastern Texas panhandle. And we have our little warm front action, something like this. Okay. And that puts a little dry line action kind of out here in this region. And then there's pseudo cold front. This is a very anemic, weak-looking surface pattern, but needless to say, that's basically your weak surface pattern, which would enable us to see some potential development along this front and in this region, and then that would move into this region here. That'd be on the 29th. And if we look at the sounding forecast, let's see if it's got a strong cap in place. Shear looks good, decent enough. There is a cap. It looks like it overcomes it as long as we get a surface temperature of 89 degrees that day. All right, so this is we're just doing a little weather. I'm walking you through how you can predict the future and become clairvoyant and be a fortune teller. So we're looking at tools on how to be a fortune teller when it comes to the weather. Now, I wish I could do this in all aspects of my life, but unfortunately, I can only predict the future in the weather department. And it's really cool to be able to see your prediction come true, regardless of what it's going to be, just because it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe I can actually do that. That's neat. I just wish I could do that everywhere. Lottery, taxes, whatever. All right, so let me look here on the day before that. That's the 28th. Same look to the surface pattern. We got a little warm front here nearby. It's a very interesting setup here for this part of the month of that week. So we got some potential for some more action on the table. And once again, we'll do like a little sounding just out here in west central Oklahoma. Same idea. Looks like a 91 degree surface temperature will break the cap. And with those surface boundaries in place, and the wind shear is much stronger. So with that kind of a tail, assuming this all works out, pans out, comes to fruition, then we'll have a few tornado days as we round into our Memorial Day weekend. The early stages of it, the beginning, not through the whole thing, it looks like. But as you're getting going, we'll have to watch the 27th, 28th, 29th, that kind of deal. Maybe the 30th, but I think it was starting to kind of change by then. Let me see what else. I think I showed you most everything I want to talk to you about tonight. So if you're late, I'm just now glancing down at your Facebook comments, by the way. So if you're late and you're like, okay, so what's the deal? Well, first off, the deal is, I see Emily Lou. Oh, you know what? Let me show you this real quick. There was something else I want to show you. Hold on. Hold that thought. And that was the rainfall amounts past Tuesday. I didn't go beyond that day. So let me do that. I think I stopped at Tuesday morning. So let's do this. And thanks for hanging out with me on a Saturday night, by the way. Jody's in the other room, chatting with you guys. Let's see. So up about 6 inches of rainfall is still a signal. Now the earlier models had it moving around different areas, so they'll never know the exact spot in this type of a pattern, but at least they have the general idea. This goes through Tuesday night, so we're adding one more day to it here. If I go on the global model side, this is where things ought to kick up a little bit more. So there's the European model for the same amount of time, but let me take you through all of next week. Let me see. Let's go at least 144 hours. This goes through next Thursday. Ironically, it's not as wet in these, but it's not a convective-oriented model that understands where you can get a really bad supercell with slow movement and a lot of rain out of it. So it's not going to be able to track that kind of stuff. It's more of a smooth over grid point with respect to that. But it still has 7-8 inches of rainfall. It just has it kind of focused down here in southeast Oklahoma versus other areas. See what the, you know what, let's do this. The American model, same kind of idea. This is the global model. It's got about 10 inches of rain down here in southeast Oklahoma, from Muskogee, McAllister, down to Sherman, Texas. Let's see here. Blend of models, which takes some of the short and some of the long range, kind of blends them all together and averages them out. Likes to favor this area here in southern and southeast Oklahoma for 4 to 5 inches of rain. Still not a whole lot in northwest, but it's at least giving you guys an inch or two, so it's throwing you a bone. The UK Met, it's going, you know what, I like the heavy rain idea, but I want to shift it south and west. And I can't argue with this based off of, you know, some of the trends we're looking at in the data. But that's got close to 9 inches down here and around Duncan and Durant, maybe Lawton. There's Childress, man, almost a foot of rainfall over the course of the upcoming week between Saturday through Friday. That's a lot of rain, guys. So we do need the rain, but like I said, flash flooding will be a problem with that kind of a deal. All right. Jody, I see your comment. Yes, I did hit the jackpot, and Larry was the bonus. Surprised Larry hasn't come in here yet. Surprised you guys haven't called for Larry. I usually do. It is Saturday. This is probably the time that Larry would make an appearance. But thanks by the way for following me on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, which is still linked to Periscope, but technically it's Twitter now, so whatever we want to call that. And then soon, Gab TV will be offering live streaming. I'll be able to do it there as well. Jim's in the house from Mustang. So, well, Jim, that music was turned up loud so it can get you going. It can wake you up, get you in the mood. Let's see. Nancy says Shreveport National Weather Service keeps bouncing McCurtain County between 4 to 6 inches, then 6 to 8 inches of rainfall back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. It's because the models are going to flip back and forth, and they usually use gridded data output blends for those forecasts. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the sway in the model data going from one run to the next in that area. Just know you're going to get several inches of rainfall and some brief flash flooding possible. So that's all you really need to get out of that storyline. Let's see here. Go to my Facebook page, you guys, on the private group page. See if you guys have any questions for me. By the way, if you guys missed the Ferguson live show that I was on Thursday night, you missed out. So some of you checked in, the rest of you didn't. Is that little Larry? Oh, bring little Larry. Come here, buddy. Oh, was he sleeping?
Yeah.
He was? Oh. Hi, buddy. I heard you were sleeping. You gonna be cool or you gonna be a little wiggly? He's usually pretty docile. It's the bright lights. Has him confused. What's happening? See yourself over there? What's funny is he actually hates phones. He becomes very camera shy. How he knows what we're doing, I don't know. But he'll be acting up like he normally does, and then we'll go and get the camera, and then he'll just stop doing whatever it is he's doing. Then you're like, man. Why you gotta be that way, you punk? Because you're cute. Gotta put you on TikTok. Make you famous. TikTok famous. This is little Larry, in case you've never seen him. He's 3 pounds. He just got a haircut, PetSmart the other day. So he's lost half a pound of hair. He was 3.5. He's probably back down to 3 now. But he is ferocious. Today he chased a rabbit that was twice his size and chased him all the way down the block. Which is funny, cute, hilarious, because then he tumbles, doesn't miss a beat, gets right back up, and he's back in the game. And since he's so small and agile, he can move just like those rabbits. So he's right on the tail all the time. Now, I don't know what he's going to do if he ever catches one, but he thinks he wants to catch one. His instinct tells him to catch it. All right, he's getting wiggly. All right, brother. Put you down like that. What are we going to do? But then he went under a fence in some neighbor's yard to track the rabbit down. You made Mom upset, didn't you? He thought he was in trouble. But she told him to go get it. I mean, he did. So that'll teach you. Oh, he's right here. Yeah, you want to come get him? I think he missed you. He didn't like the fact you left him here. Yeah, he's not in the mood.
Come see Mom.
There he goes. All right, well, that was little Larry. He doesn't say much. He's very quiet this time of the night. But I tell you what, if the Amazon Prime driver shows up, I feel sorry for that driver. He goes nuts. I'm just like, no one will ever sneak up on the front porch. That dude has ears that can hear from backyard. He'll just come busting through the little doggy door, go to the front door window, and just tear it up. It's the most vicious dog I've ever had. And you just saw him. He's completely docile. No, that's an act. He's one of those. It's like a human being. You act all nice in front of others, but when you're in your element, hell hath no fury. So anyway. All right, well, listen, I'm going to get out of here, go spend the rest of the evening with my squeeze, and that's an old terminology for you youngins. And thanks for watching. Like I said, if you missed it and you're just like, well, I just got here. I'm like, well, snooze, you lose. But really, really quick recap, like 20 seconds version. By the way, use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It'll give you all of your normal, everyday highs and lows and winds and cloud cover. It's free, Apple, Google Play. It's called AT's Weather to Go. So download on your phone. Make sure you allow it to run in the background. So do always, so that way it knows your phone's location. So it'll send you a tornado alert directly to your location, like your GPS coordinates. If you don't do that, then it won't work as designed, and you've defeated the purpose of getting an extra alert that you can't get anywhere else. So make sure you turn that on. But anyway, so that'll give your daily weather stuff. And then, but the big picture, what I focused on tonight, which is different rounds of storms. We'll have a round that comes in late overnight tonight. So basically, as we get into the early morning hours in southwest and southern Oklahoma, moving into central Oklahoma. So if you have anything to do here in Oklahoma City, for example, you better get up really early, because otherwise you're on borrowed time. Then it rains throughout the day, ends by mid-afternoon. So then if you have anything to do tomorrow evening, you've got some time. And then in western Oklahoma, they'll get some storms out in the evening hours that comes in from Texas. So there'll be a little bit of hail and wind with those. There's a very tiny tornado threat with that, but it's very, very low. Wind shear isn't that great, but we'll see. And then Monday, so anyway, those storms, by the way, Sunday night, will move through in a kind of a scattered fashion overnight, and Sunday night and the Monday morning, and exiting the state. So most of Monday's dry good once we get past the morning hours, early morning hours, and then Monday afternoon and evening, southwest Oklahoma will be the place to be if you were a storm chaser, because that looks like there'll be a couple of tornadoes down there from supercell storms in that area with some big hail. Those will move north and east, the storms themselves, into central Oklahoma and southern Oklahoma during the late evening hours, but the tornado threat will be long gone by then. Should be anyway, but we might transition over into a squall line with instead of a supercell type tornado threat, more of a QLCS type, which is on a squall line appearance on leading edge. So we might have something like that in the data that's signaled for our Monday night. And then Tuesday, looks like we'll have some more scattered storms that'll get going. So it's going to be kind of a rainy period. and not every storm's going to be severe. You just kind of have to pick and choose which ones. Otherwise, it's general, a little bit of wind, a little bit of hail, lightning, and then flash flooding may be an issue. So we could have amounts totaling for the whole week in some areas of around a foot. So that's a lot of rain. So just be prepared for that. If you need some of these heavy storms that don't move much or they train over the same area, that'll be a problem. And then we look long term. There are a few days as we head toward the end of May that do look a little volatile, at least potentially. You have to have everything else there, but some of the ingredients are there, so we'll have to watch for that. So May eventually live up to its climatological standards of producing a few tornadoes for us across Oklahoma. So it's been a fairly quiet season. So we will get at least some severe weather out of it. So we're not going to escape totally, but it's still going to be well below normal, which is great. All right, well, that is it for me. You guys have a great night. Thanks for your support on me as a content creator. If you like what I create and what I do for you, you can join my Facebook fan subscriptions or my Patreon, Subscribe Star, there's YouTube. All that stuff is in the description link on this video. You can select, and also you can get, I've got some weather gear, which I'm about to launch a spring store for that, but you can get t-shirts right now through my t-shirt link that's also down in there for a bonfire. So if you'd like to pick up an AT's weather shirt, you can do that as well. And that would support this channel and everything I do to help build it, because I built the main computer I'm on right now. I had to build from scratch because I needed a powerhouse to do everything I'm doing. It was 2014, and I'm like, oh, this thing's starting to show its age. So I'll, those kind of things I have to use to put back into this to beef it back up, because it takes a lot of bandwidth, a lot of computer processing to broadcast 4 streams at once on your own here. So that's just kind of some inside tech geeky stuff that is required to do something like this, but it's all fun. I like it. It's like tinkering for me. So all right, you guys have a great night, and don't drink too much. Get some sleep. We'll talk soon. See ya.